Welcome to another episode of the Ohio Technical Center's podcast series, where we explore the career readiness opportunities that are made available throughout Ohio through the Ohio Technical Centers. I'm your host, Rachael Mann, and today we're diving into yet another episode where we're going to discuss workforce development and the amazing opportunities that are available to learners in Ohio. And I'm thrilled to have Keith Horner, who is the superintendent of Apollo Career Center, and he's also the incoming president of OACTS. Keith, welcome to the show.
Very, very nice to be here, Rachel. It's a pleasure.
Well, it was nice meeting you at a recent conference in person and hearing already about some of the great things you're doing. I would love to just jump into learning a little bit about your background and how you transitioned from the Wapakoneta City School System to becoming the superintendent of the Apollo Career Center. So, if you don't mind just sharing some of your background and what inspired you to move from teaching into administration and into your current role.
Sure. So my background from an education standpoint started out just kind of what a lot of people want to do. I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. Is what at least I thought I wanted to do, and I did that. And that was how I started out. I was never a head coach, but thought I wanted to coach football my entire life, and then at some point early in my career, someone tapped me on the shoulder and says, "You should consider becoming an administrator." And honestly, I never thought about it up until that point, but then that got me thinking about it, and I started taking classes and became licensed as a principal, and then kind of took a veer in my career in terms of my goals, just because I gave up on the wanting to be a football coach and became an administrator. So even with that, my first administrative job was really running an alternative school in Wapakoneta. And then I did that. And from there, I went to Wapakoneta City Schools and became the traditional route of assistant principal, principal, and then superintendent. So I was there altogether, I was there for 19 years and 13 of which were superintendent. But during that time, I got to know Apollo Career Center. And I'm from this area, so I know Apollo and would be able to see the impact that Apollo had on our kids directly. So we would have these students that I would work with as freshmen and sophomores. They would go through and they would enroll in Apollo, and I kind of watched them go through a transformation that was just always so impressive. In addition to that, Apollo always had a banquet each year, celebrating basically the boards and the partners, and a lot of times they would have a alumni of the year. And every time to a T that the alumni spoke, they spoke about how proud they were to be at Apollo and how it changed their life. And that's when I started to really, really pay attention early in my principalship and then leading on later to being a superintendent. I would always love to come to that banquet, and I'm not a banquet guy, but that was a highlight all the time. So when the job came open and I applied for it, that's really what motivated me, was being able to see the difference in what it did for kids.
It's amazing what you glean from those events and just the recognition that goes out to different people, which is a great segue into the next question, which is, can you talk a little bit about what motivated you to become a strong advocate for CTE and also for the Ohio Technical Centers?
Yeah, so when I came here, obviously as a K-12 superintendent, I knew what Apollo did. Had a great partnership, but what I didn't know a lot about was the Ohio Technical Center, our adult division. And when I learned about that and learned all of the possibilities about what the OTCs can do and how they work, continuing to learn about that, it really is fascinating. It really is the best of education, career tech in general, and then OTCs, the adult ed, we get a move at a much quicker pace than a K-12, and you get a really broad range of services that we offer. So we're helping businesses, we're helping individuals, and if there's a need for a new program, we can do things relatively quickly compared to a K-12. So I was like a kid in a candy store as an educator because I wanted to make all these changes.
And Keith, can you tell us about the areas in Ohio that Apollo Career Center serves? and the types of businesses that are most prevalent in these regions?
So Apollo Care Center is in Lima, Ohio, which is the western side of the state. And on a map, we're right in the middle of Dayton and Toledo almost. And we are a heavy manufacturing area and manufacturing in many different ways. We have a lot of large shops and smaller shops, but we have a Lima Ford engine plant. We have a refinery. We have Procter and Gamble that produces obviously things like Tide Pods. We have Nutrien that makes nitrogen for the agriculture industry. We have Grobe, which is a German-based company that they, I always like to say, they make machines that make machines, is what they do. And then one of the things that is really unique to Lima is we have a tank plant. So we build the Abrams tank here at rebuild the Abrams tank here in Lima, Ohio. And many of these are less than a mile of where I'm sitting right now. So those are some of the big areas that we serve. And so we make a lot of things. I can go out a little bit further. There's Crown Manufacturing makes lift trucks. They're about 30 minutes away in a neighboring county, but their national headquarters, actually worldwide headquarters, is in New Bremen, Ohio, which is not far from here.
Right, and you said that they make machines that make machines, but yet you're still training people to be the makers of the machine. So I can't help but think about the concern that we hear from so many people right now that technology is going to replace people. But obviously, you have a big audience that you're providing training for, and can see that there's such a huge need. So, how do these businesses impact the types of trainings and experiences that you offer?
Very directly. So one of the beautiful things about Career Tech is we get feedback directly from our customers. Every program, be it on the adult side or the high school side, has an advisory committee, and we try to bring in these industry partners to really talk about the needs that they have and talk about the direction they're going, maybe talk about the technology that they are seeing. So our problem right now, Rachel, is we really can't work fast enough in terms of providing them with trained employees. Our numbers are good. There probably is a skill set, but there's also just a math problem in not having enough people. So that's problematic as well. But even with AI, even with automation, one thing that I just don't think will go away is the ability for people to be required to think. And that's one of the things that we try to, impart on our kids, our students, both high school and adult.
That ability to really think and think for themselves and be critical in that is so important. Now, for the community integration piece, Apollo Career Center has a strong presence in the community. How do you customize training programs and adult education initiatives that integrate the support that is needed for the local community?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It does go back a little bit to my previous answer. We sit and we listen to our partners, whether it be public safety or whether it be in the more of a manufacturing setting. But we listen to those folks and try to determine what they need. We also do in a customized manner on the adult side, the Ohio Technical Center side. We do special projects for people, special training, whatever it may be. It might be truck driving, or it might be machining, or it could be as something as simple as providing CPR training for a company as well. But those things are all tailored to the company's needs. Now we do have some standalone programs, but we will meet with companies and basically make accommodations to that existing curriculum to fit their specific needs if that's what they choose to do.
And thinking about the students that enroll in your programs, what are some of the impactful partnerships that highlight the connections that you have with the business and industries? Are there direct opportunities for employment or other success stories that you might be able to share?
Yeah, really good question. So a lot of the folks that we're working with are already employed in some capacity, often by the company. A couple different examples is we offer a full-blown apprenticeship program on our adult side, on our OTC side of the house, with electrical, with tool and die, and with industrial maintenance, and we hope to add HVAC soon. We've worked with Jobs Ohio in the regional growth partnership, which is under Jobs Ohio. And if you don't know what Jobs Ohio is, the best description I have is it's economic development organization for the state of Ohio. So we're on our second project with them. The first was with the tank plant, where they needed to hire a significant number of people without welding training, and we provided that training for them. The current project that we're working on is with Procter and Gamble, where they're building a $500 million facility. $500 million facility to produce the dryer beads. And we're looking at trying to create a kind of a flow for employees to get some basic skills before they go there. So that's a Jobs Ohio project. We work closely with the tech cred system in Ohio and also our Ohio Means Jobs. So there's lots of resources for us to be able to work with the partners to give them what they need. And we try to do that to benefit all parties.
It's fascinating as you learn about the industries that are in your area or in other areas to think about the things that we take for granted. I would never imagine a $500 million going into creating dryer beads. It's just one of those careers that you don't think about, and I can imagine that that's one of the exciting parts of being at Apollo is just the opportunities that individuals might not even realize are things that they may end up working with or around at some point.
Absolutely. And, our vision statement is Apollo Career Center will prepare students to be next ready to have a positive impact in our community. That not knowing is part of that next ready piece because, you can't really predict your life, but we will assist students putting them in the best position to be prepared for whatever their next step is in life. So we're happy to do that. The other part is you mentioned this is it's a great pride to me to be able to take part in these projects to be able to help our community in some small fashion. It's a small piece of the pie, but everybody is important in trying to make, Lima Allen County a big, better, stronger region.
I absolutely love the phrase "next ready." I feel like that's something that should be on the wall of every career center. It's so true and so relevant to what we do in CTE.
So we are the originator of Next Ready, as I like to say, because there are some other folks using it now, and we're happy that they are, but we're pretty confident we're the first. So we're proud of that too.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, and, do you partner with state and local agencies? And if so, how does that enhance the educational experiences and opportunities that are available at Apollo?
Yeah, very much so. So Ohio Means Jobs is a very large partner of ours. Ohio Means Jobs is a state-supported organization that provides things like incumbent worker training dollars for companies, or they'll do tuition reimbursement to the students. In addition to that, one of the things, and this is one of the fascinating things of OTCs, that most people, I can tell you, I did not know this when I walked in the door and was already hired. We offer traditional financial aid just like colleges. You can get a Pell Grant at Apollo Care Center just like you can if you went to Ohio State University in Columbus. So that's been really, I guess, an eye-opening. But so we try to put all those pieces together, that those areas of support. So Ohio Means Jobs is a great partner for us in Allen County. Jobs Ohio has been a great partner for us. Our local chamber, our local economic development organization, all work together to try to really promote Allen County and improve our workforce.
And Keith, in addition to being the OTC that came up with the phrase next ready, Apollo Career Center also has bragging rights as it's recognized as one of the best in Ohio. You're serving a significant number of adult students. Also, the partnerships with your businesses are phenomenal. What strategies or practices do you believe have contributed to this success? And is there a way to share this model of success with other OTCs across the state or even nationally?
So, yeah, I think that I can talk maybe from two perspectives on that. I guess one being the current perspective, which is we really try to have a presence in our community, in our region, and be visible. And part of that is doing things like being a member of the Chamber of Commerce and being active, just going out there and talking to people and see what they have going on. Part of that is running our Business Advisory Committee Council, where I organize trips to various business and industry sites, but all those are relationship building experiences that really help us now. So that's one perspective. The second perspective that I have to say, and we're hoping to continue, is Apollo Career Center has a long, long history of being supportive of adult education in our OTC, where they have consistently grown over a history of almost 50 years of being committed to educating both high school students and adult students. So that OTC piece is something that I think you have to stay vigilant at. And if there's a gap, that's where I think folks may fall down a little bit. But We've not had that at Apollo, and that's created, I got to give my predecessors on the adult Ohio Technical Center side, and also my predecessors in this seat as a superintendent, credit for not letting up on the importance of the Ohio Technical Center side.
Keith, I understand you have a particular interview on your desktop and you've watched it many times that features a graduate from the 2020 Aspire graduation, and there's a moving story about overcoming adversity. What about this story resonates with you? Can you tell us some about the story and how it reflects the mission of Apollo Career Center and how stories like this impact your approach to leadership and program development at Apollo?
Yeah, so there's a gentleman, and honestly, I've never met him, but he took part in this video, and he really captured what I think is the career tech story, the Ohio Technical Center story of Ohio. And that is, folks come to us really not knowing what's going to happen to them next, and they start gaining confidence, they start learning a skill, and maybe life was not kind to them up until, that point, or maybe they just weren't ready for a change, but when they came to us, they were ready. And then this gentleman in this particular video that I do watch occasionally, like I said, I keep it right on my desktop, is just a moving story of how Apollo changed his life. And the Aspire program is in his particular case, it was an adult diploma program. So he didn't have a high school diploma. He was probably 45, 50 years old. Indicated he drove by this place every day, never thought he'd step foot in here. For someone like that to even step foot in our building is a huge success. And then to have our folks, so credit to our folks who impacted him so much that it really changed his life. But that's the Curtech story. Is we are a great underdog story. I always tell people, because I've seen both sides of the fence, the K-12 world and the adult world, and then also the adult career center world and high school career center world. But what we offer, in my mind, is the best of education. We do it better, and part of that is just accepting these kids. Then they come with, even though they might have baggage, they come with no baggage because we don't see it when they enter the our doors.
That is so inspiring, and, like you said, that's just an act of bravery to be able to walk through those doors and pursue something totally new that becomes life-changing, but it also is just such an example for other people. I'm sure there's many people in his realm of influence who, when they found out what he was doing, they think, "Oh, yeah, just because I'm in the 40s, that doesn't mean that I can't start something new or
Right.
pursue that new skill or trade." It's never too late, and I think that moving forward, that's gonna be so necessary as we see more and more changes and advances and new skill sets that are needed in different industries. Keith, can you, talk a little bit about a recent achievement? And I actually ran across this on social media that your advanced manufacturing students participated in the Skills USA Nationals in Atlanta with 6 students competing in 4 different contests. Can you talk a little bit about how these competitions benefit students and schools and any highlights from this event?
Yeah, so all of our programs are associated with some type of career technical student organization, and those provide experiences in leadership events or some type of competition in terms of their program. So we are happy to say that we had some kids win first place, and that means we send first place winners to Atlanta, and they were able to take part in that. To me, this actually comes probably from my sports experience. That the winning or the losing means nothing to me. I just glad these kids get an experience to do something that they've never had a chance to do, for many of them. And for many of them, it's life changing. I can talk about somebody who I know very, very close, who was part of the speaking at Skills years ago. And he would tell you that it changed his life just having that success when he had not had success previously. So those are great, great career tech stories that are just repeated on both our Ohio Technical Center adult side and our high school side.
And that's something that I don't think we, do enough in promoting is you don't think about going to a career center and there being travel opportunities and opportunities to showcase your skills at the national level. That's amazing, and I can imagine how life-changing it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, looking ahead, what are your goals for Apollo Career Center and how do you envision the future of CTE and OTCs evolving in Ohio and beyond?
Yeah, so our goals at Apollo Career Center, really, we kind of live by that mission. I was listening to one of your podcasts. I believe it was Michael Connor who was speaking on NCLA, and he might have put this more eloquently, but his at the end he was summing things up and preparing students to be next ready to have a positive impact in the community was really almost what he said, maybe in a different format. But we want to continue to do that and maybe expand our influence a little bit. As I said, I think this is the best model of education. So we want to be able to offer it to more kids on both the Ohio Technical Center side and the high school side. In terms of the Ohio Technical or adult side, they are really, really positive in terms of, they continue to grow their influence. They continue to work with manufacturers. They continue to have these partnerships like I talked about with the tank plant and Procter and Gamble. And those things kind of flywheel a little bit or gain momentum and have more people look at us. Our apprenticeship program has grown significantly over the years. So I think that, we're going to have to look at ways as we move forward to grow out into the community because it's a little bit harder for us to grow inside where we currently are located.
Well, and do you have anything else that you would like to share with our listeners about the exciting developments at Apollo Career Center or any final thoughts on the importance of CTE and OTCs?
Yes. So OTCs are such a valuable, valuable resource for adults, for businesses in terms of many different respects. The portfolio of things that we offer is everything from, maybe a special interest class or an adult diploma class, all the way up to a licensed practical nursing to truck driving to an electrical apprenticeship where you walk out the door as a journeyman electrician. That's a big portfolio of offerings that we offer here at Apollo to really make an impact on our community. And I think every OTC can do that exact same thing with that drive to help their community and help their students.
And if someone wants to learn more about OTCs or if they have questions about what we've talked about in the podcast, whether it's to become a student or to partner as business and industry with your organization, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
So the best way is to just simply call Apollo Career Center at 998-2900 or connect with me via email if necessary, but we're happy to do that. And then I'll be that salesman, Rachel. I will connect with them with somebody who really knows what's going on here at Apollo.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Keith, for being on the podcast and for sharing what's happening at your centers and the amazing opportunities that are available for your learners and for business and industry to really benefit from having these adult training programs. And for our listeners who are tuning in, don't forget to subscribe to the Ohio Technical Center's podcast series so that you don't miss one of our great episodes and can hear some of the insightful conversations. Stay curious and keep innovating and until next time.